Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. I'm your host Gary, and joining me of course is Iain and our guest Geoff. And today we're going to talk about 2009 movie Metropia, which is an animated science fiction thriller.
Yeah, I'd call it a mindfuck, really.
Yeah, maybe mystery. There's not too much thrilling about it, I would say, but it's like almost got a film noir kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it's the world it's set in the future.
Yeah,
and it's a world that has depleted all of its energy reserves. You've used up all the oil, the coal, all the natural resources, and it's now just a very dark and dingy world. And we follow the character of Roger.
Roger, yeah, who lives in Eastern Europe, or the middle of Europe, and everybody has been compacted into these hub blocks, and are forced to travel by the metro system, which is in turn controlled by the Trex Corporation. And this leads us to Roger, who, for some reason you're not really told, but he decides he doesn't want to travel through the metro system. He wants to be his own person. And this in turn brings on a roller coaster of events that will leave you scratching your head, checking for dandruff.
Excuse me. Wait. Don't go down there. Excuse me. No.
Yeah, definitely. It's a classic kind of conspiracy theory extension film where and it also is classic sci-fi, isn't it? Really, where they've just taken a logical extension of the way that society is evolving right now and the way technology is evolving right now, and extended the idea of these sort of these pocketed urban areas. And of course, Europe has now become a unified system of government.
Yeah,
in this
everyone
in
uses
this story.
euros.
So, what we have here is, again, instead of, it's like a plutocracy of corporate leaders and politicians. Most notably, the main centre of power comes around the logistics of moving people around.
Yeah.
And because everybody's focused on using the metro, they can set up surveillance which is focused on these points, and they have got excellent control over everybody, and they can plant all the advertising messages and all the subliminal messages they need to try to engineer society the way they like. And then there's also another depth to it, which is a new technology. We enter into this world at a point where there's a new technology that's come out, which I guess would be like a nanobots kind of principle, where they begin to use these nanobots in shampoo that is also being again promoted so heavily that everybody's using it. And there's a funny little line in the film where they say the point of dandruff shampoo is to give you dandruff, so that you keep on using it. So everybody's kind of using this stuff, and it's become a means by which they can enter into your brain in a kind of, hear your thoughts, implant thoughts, and
force you to buy things you'll see on TV, and force you to watch certain programs.
Yeah, well, if not force you, then at least
Suggest
heavily
it.
Suggest it that
yeah.
you think it's coming from your own mind anyway.
Wait, how did you do that? How did you...
So the whole and really the story centres around the one guy, Roger, who from his own kind of instinct wants to break free from the system.
I'm just normal. He says that so many times in this film. He's in
He
a
is
way,
a very normal guy.
He's boring, but he is just a normal guy. He's actually doing everything opposite to everybody else. Everybody else is taking the metro system and going to work and just living mundane lives, and he's riding around on his bike thinking, there should be something better for me,
But as a result of that, he gets home really late from work.
Yeah.
Like 10:30, he's, coming home from work. But he's also, he believes that there are these conspiracies going on around him. Even though, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But his mind is already wondering about what's keeping this society together. So at least he's trying, he's starting to become aware that there are some problems with this society.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And that makes him despondent in all of his relationships as well, that we see that he's just disinterested
yeah,
in everything as a result of what's going on around him. And he starts to then fantasize about the girl from the shampoo advert, which,
voiced by Juliette Lewis.
of course, voiced by Juliette Lewis. So maybe, straight away he's already being
Influenced.
brainwashed and influenced. And that's when he starts to hear the voices in his head.
Roger. Hello? Roger. Hello? Oh, shit.
Which is one of
Yeah.
the most comical scenes in the film, where he's just in bed and the voice just starts talking to him, and obviously the whole thing of, am I going crazy? I'm hearing a voice. Do you hear it? Is it just me? And that's what takes the character onto that journey then. It's just...
Well, there's that, and then there's the iconic moment. I even mentioned it when we saw the film. Oh, it's the woman in the red coat. There's the moment which they pretty much blatantly ripped from The Matrix, which was where he's walking through the metro, and through the crowd he sees this woman who he thinks is the woman from the shampoo advert. I think
Yeah.
she is, isn't she? And she's wearing the red coat, and she stands out amongst the grey. They've done all a very similar kind of colouring techniques that we used in The Matrix, where they punctuate certain kind of areas, and they punctuate certain localities and emotions in the film with colour and how bright it gets in the film. So she comes out and she's like a shining kind of angel in the grey drab, and because she's also his fantasy in the advert, he just sees her. And this leads him on a journey which is about discovery of the reality that he's living in.
All the while having the voices going on in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about the art style of the animation is what I think really encapsulates the essence of the circumstance of the environment that they're in. Everything is very, very poorly lit. They exaggerate that by seeing all of the light bulbs down the the working rooms, and you see the lights in the cities as just massive skyscrapers, and you just see like one light on in one window. You get a sense of that there is not even enough power to have just general lighting, but the only overused amount of light that you do see in the film is when it's for the neon adverts for the shampoo, or if it's the red coat in the sea of grey, as you say. So they really do selectively use colour to make things obvious to you. But I think that the whole film being that dingy, dark style, it has that Fallout feel or Metro feel, and the whole film is such a slow pace as well. It's almost like all of the extras or the characters that are in the background, they don't have any energy either. They're almost just still.
Subdued, yeah.
They're really still, and for a part of it, it can almost make the film feel very slow as well, because it doesn't have the pacing or the energy of a blockbuster movie. This is a very independent film, and I think that this is a really unique art style that I've not seen in any other film before, especially considering it's quite hard on the eyes to adjust to their faces in the animation.
It's quite ugly, isn't it? Their
It is
faces
very ugly.
can look very ugly.
yeah.
They have sort of quite bulbous features. Even the pretty girls are very sort of angularly, very harsh. Everything's kind of exaggerated. The size of his head is
The
exaggerated.
animation is, I thought,
It's a reflection
skinny,
on the
really
universe
skinny.
that they exist in.
It's just like a blend of a number of different animation styles, I would say, that's come
Yeah,
together in this
definitely.
very unique and original idea. But I would say that... is it enjoyable to watch, though? I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
It's
I watched
different.
this film the first time and I got lost 40 minutes into the film. I was like, really, what the hell is going on? And then I got to the end and I understood it. It's a deep thinking film, and you really just got to go with the animation and just be like, you know what, this is totally different. I'm just going to see how this goes, because watching it the second time, which we just did, I saw all the little things in the background, the West Ham United flag, little drawings that they were doing, and they looked real. I mean, at one point when they got onto the train, I actually thought, wow, that's actually real people. No, we're still in the animation. And It's just these little touches, and just we say it was sci-fi as well. The science fiction, really boring. The computers that they use are all block
Very retro.
Lego style.
Yeah.
The metro itself
It's
are just
steampunkish,
trains.
isn't it? It's very
Slightly
steampunkish,
steampunk, yeah.
like Fallout. They've got this. They kind of combine that retro, sort of 50s, 60s style of technology, and you've got screens which aren't flat screens. You know, they're these CRT monitors, real old style, bulbous ones.
Big ass TVs.
Yeah, and so it's kind of steampunk, and then there's the classic kind of, like, especially like 70s and 80s art house style in there, like the European, like surrealist art almost. There's almost a little bit of that, splash of that influence coming on in there as well. There's such a different blend of styles.
It wouldn't have actually worked with live action characters.
No, I don't think so either.
The animation.
I think the art style helped.
Yeah. I mean, we did say they've got big heads and big eyes, but they still look human.
That's what made it interesting, because it was difficult to look at.
Yeah.
It does make it interesting, but it's
Yeah.
not necessarily pleasing. I don't. But then maybe it's not supposed to be. You know.
Well, yeah. You know, it's dark, it's drab, it's rainy. You know, the world looks like shit, unless you're going on Asylum, which I have to bring in is probably one of my favourite quiz TV shows ever thought of.
Tonight, 4 contenders, 30 questions. Only one can stay in Europe. The others have to fly. In or out. No, wait. Welcome. Directly from Copenhagen, welcome to Europe's favorite quiz show, Asylum.
And they get taken onto a quiz show where they have to give 30 words about why Europe is brilliant. And if they don't do it, they get fired off an ejector seat and shot into the ocean. And then they turn to the next contestant and go, "Your turn," and they're like,
It's like crowd based. It's like Pop Idol, but for asylum seekers, isn't it? And they've got
all those people with signs like "Boo!" Yay!
If they get a good enough cheer, they get in, I guess.
But then, I mean, in reflection, you know, we look at that, and then you look at things. For example, a certain TV show with a house and a bunch of people going in. You know, people follow that kind of stuff, and then, you know, it's the voyeurism with the camera work.
What brings me on to what I really want to talk about with this film as well is the fact that, as you've just said about people watching people,
Yeah.
but there's also the conspiracy of another agency that's watching the people watching the people.
We're watching you.
They have it set up so that through using the shampoo, through the antennas in your hair, it works as an antenna, and everybody's TV sets, apparently since the 1990s, have been fitted with cameras. And throughout the movie, you see advertisements in the background which say that, you know, every, you know, ordinary everyday object can now be fitted with a spy camera.
Yeah.
And so all of these TVs throughout Europe have cameras in them, and there is a agency that is literally just watching people watching television, and then of course some of them are being manipulated and talked to. So, and it's also kind of relevant with some of the things that are going on today, with, especially, I'm going to say it, with the Xbox One, with the Kinect, with cameras always being on in your own living room. We have it in a society today where cameras are on buildings, they're in towns, they're on buses, they're on trains, they're everywhere. But now they're literally going to be in your own living room.
It's much more than that. I mean, Metropia is so relevant to right now, and like in the last week we have the Prism announcement, you know, which has been leaked, all of stuff which was known. If you're up together with government activities and you know, monitoring what is going on in society, then most of the stuff that's come out about Prism was known before. But the fact remains is that now nobody can deny there is these major programs to record vast amounts of data, or all the communications that goes on between the citizens of these, like, Western countries, specifically America, but also, you know, it would be naive to think that Europe doesn't have its own plans as well. And
Metropia style.
yeah, that this is almost it's almost designed specifically to try to make people consider the real issues on blanket surveillance and attempts to control society through controlling people's thoughts. This is real stuff that's happening right now, and I think Metropia is really engineered specifically to try to make a statement about that, whilst and to lock into those fears and those issues to make it itself interesting.
I was just wondering if someone could use the shampoo to take control of another person.
I don't understand.
I don't know, I almost felt like I knew what the end was going to be from the beginning. I knew where it was going, I knew the issues that it was bringing up in hand. So maybe, I think this film, for me, was perhaps ended up becoming a little drab, because these are issues that I'm quite often concerned with.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of representing those in a complete, but also, detached from the reality, simplistic kind of way. And I didn't like, for me personally, I didn't appreciate particularly the way that the male characters were depicted in this film compared to the way the female characters were.
Maybe she can take her clothes off now.
Every single male character to me seemed to be either weak or sleazy or, in some way just completely lost or not in control of their life, had very little direction. And Roger, for me, is the main character. When I was watching the film, it became kind of slightly irritating to me to watch him, because he was such a weak, pallid character. And the female characters in this film really come out to be the brains behind the operation, the people that really are the ones that evolve the change and break out of the system, really. They're the ones that are never really captured by the system. So, as a film, it kind of felt a little bit disjointed, a little bit misguided, perhaps. And I think if these issues are new to you, then the film would really kind of bring something interesting, and you might open your mind to seeing things in a different way. I think if you're very familiar with these kind of issues, and the film, it's an interesting, very well produced film, but perhaps a little bit drab, a little bit slow paced, and a little bit boring to be something that you would really enjoy,
Roger. Roger? Roger? Hello?
But what I did like about the actual system, if you will, that is spying on everybody, is that when you are actually introduced to one or two of them, they are just as ordinary as the ones that they're watching. They have, pet fish on the side of the desk.
Yeah,
they order
go to work.
They order pizza. They make mistakes. They're very much human, just like the ones that they're watching. So,
but they know the consequences of if they do their job wrong.
Yes, the higher ups are going to have them thrown in front of a train. My favourite scene from the film would probably be the advertisement for the actual shampoo, just because of its raw simplicity of its message. It almost encapsulates the film, also with its meaning. So I think that's the poignant moment of the film.
I have only one chance to make a first impression. My hair tells the world who I am. Hair with dandruff is an absolute no-no. That's why I choose Dangest. Not that I have dandruff, but because my appearance is a reflection of my soul.
See, my favourite scene, try not to spoil too much of it, there is a single explosion in the film, and the animation that they took towards showing what the force from this explosion can do to somebody up close was quite inspiring, and yeah.
There was one scene I particularly enjoyed when he was doing anything he could to save this fish. Which was perhaps one of the more comical bits, and there are a few little comical bits, like with the asylum and stuff like that. So I liked the little edge of sense of humour in it, and that it didn't take itself too seriously. So any of the comical bits, which just took the drab edge off it, I think.
I recommend the film for at least one viewing. It's a very ambitious film. The art style is totally unique.
Yeah.
And I think that there's enough intrigue and enigma established throughout the film that it does drip feed the information to you. But then once you start to see how some of the characters are being manipulated and played, I think there is a very film noir essence about the film. But yeah, maybe the characters are a little bit weak and a little bit two-dimensional, but they serve as the canvas of what the entire world is, and it is almost like, it is the animation art style, which is the biggest attraction to the film. It does have quite a few adult messages and themes in there, and I think some of them are very well explored in the film. They will inspire conversation afterwards.
Yeah.
They're very good talking points as well. So yeah, I think you should definitely check out Metropia.
I definitely, I recommend this film to people who like to think about their films. This is, you won't be able to just sit down this and understand it from beginning to end. I've watched it for a second time, and I'll probably watch it for a third time and see extra things I haven't seen before. But yeah, the art style, just for the art style alone.
This is it. I always thought I would die in my sleep. Eyes closed, just peacefully.
I'm with Gary. I definitely recommend seeing it at one time. It's interesting, and it's incredibly well put together, and the whole story coheses very well together. It's an interesting film to watch. Whether or not it's a fun film to watch or an enjoyable film to watch, I guess that's such a subjective thing. I couldn't tell you. I didn't find it particularly enjoyable as an experience, although I'm glad I've seen it. So it's a very kind of unusual recommendation. But if you're a young whippersnapper and you're not really interested or haven't been interested up until now in things like politics, society, technology, the future, the way things are going at the moment, by all means watch this. It will spark your interest in the way society works, and it will make you ask questions, and it will give you some really interesting talking points, definitely, to chat with your friends about, and just have all kinds of interesting philosophical
conversation.
Leftist tangents.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.